Good morning, everyone. My name is Rick Noda. I'm here in beautiful Encinitas, California at T3 Talks. Now, I'll tell you something. Yes, you could see it. I'm a classic, man. You could look this clean if you act. I don't even know how it goes, man. But I went to see my guys over at American Deluxe Barber Shop here in Encinitas to kind of get that old military, a little bit of a fade going, cutting down my hair. It is really cool after coming back for camp. I'm settling back in with my athletes and everything. And literally the beard and everything that I grow when I go away to camp is for a reason. And I'm going to talk about that because today's topic is how to stay neat, clean, and looking sharp. Yes, how do you stay neat, clean, and looking sharp? Well, we're still using the same principles that we always build on. The 7 Ps, that proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance, and we're still training SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic target. So staying neat and clean, all right, I start by keeping it simple. So the first thing that I do about staying neat and clean is I provide myself, regardless if I'm in regular clothes, somewhat of a uniform. Those of you who pay attention out there in social network land, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, if you notice on these broadcasts, I'm in a black shirt and skinny jeans. And I kind of wear my Doc Martens, all right? So my 511 attire that I wear is specific for those 3 days. Guess what? I don't have to worry about it. I don't think about it. It's not a decision. It's all that. If you also notice that on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and even Saturdays, I'll wear the gray and what I'd consider regular fitting jeans. What that does for me is that I know that always my clothes is clean. The materials are pressed so that if I'm meeting someone for the first time, we talk about that first impression. That first impression is I always, kind of have a collared shirt. I always joke around with my Talladale Nights and my buddy Will Ferrell. I also have a T-shirt underneath in case you want to get down like that little baby Jesus, something like that, which is always ready for fitness. So as I'm staying neat and clean, I also have those layers. The other thing about staying neat and clean and applying those 7 Ps is you guys know that I just came back from camp from Arizona. So a week prior to going to that camp in Arizona, I literally, from previous years, have learned that if I have a little bit of a facial hair, and if I grow my hair out here on the sides a little bit, I don't look like a raccoon when I come back, all right? Because sometimes you put your glasses on, and what ends up happening is with the sun, you end up getting a little bit of a raccoon look. With the beard, you'll literally get sunburned sometimes from here all the way down. And, for most, it's kind of funny. This little line that comes up like from here to here, and I wear complete arm warmers, it is something that takes a few days to kind of get rid of. So prior to going to camp, what do? Grow my beard out a little bit. I start to grow it out. So by day 3 or day 4 of camp, I'm lucky. I can get one of those little bit of those, big beards, those big lumberjack beards. And then after camp is done and like either my drive or my flight, I kind of recapture the moment, go right to my guys at American Deluxe Barber Shop there and get my hair cut. So story time. Here's the story. So staying neat and clean, have a few things that I like about American Deluxe Barber. First one, I've been going to them for about close to maybe 15, maybe 20 years. Because when I was in the Marine Corps between my enlistment of 91 through 95, here in California, they're right here on the 101, because of the Marine presence, there used to be haircuts, place to get your haircut, gas station store or currency exchange to cash your check, liquor store, barber shop, currency exchange, porn shop, liquor store. So literally the 101 was like, if I was in another country, it kind of looks like some of the ports that I would come into. But it was kind of dangerous here too. It was almost, we would consider it an off limits. So what was an off limits or red zone, even in California, right out of the base of Camp Pendleton, a lot of gangs, a lot of stuff like that. So as I was going down there, or going down to the 101 or at Hill Street, I did not like the treatment I got, number one. And number two, the $3 haircut or the $2 haircut I paid for, they did it so fast, I'd get nicked and all that stuff in my back of my head. Now, I'm not in boot camp anymore. I'm a Marine, so I don't need to be treated like a boot And a boot means next. Well, I'm a Marine. So what I did was I went ahead and I said, there's got to be some places here in Oceanside that I can go and find a place to get my hair cut. So I walk into American Deluxe Barber shop. At the time, it's $8, or I think $5 for a haircut, and then it kind of moved up to $8. So you go to Hill Street, it was $2. It's $3 in Hill Street, $2 on base, $5 at American Deluxe. You guys, I made barely 12 grand as a Lance Corporal. So you had to get your hair cut every week in the Marine Corps. So that's $5, or $5 times 4. That's $20 a month at making 12 grand a year. That's a majority part of your money. That's what's funny about the military, is that you got to stay neat and you don't make any money. So you got to find ways to economize that. So I go to American Deluxe Barber shop, and in great fashion, they don't allow you to wait for one barber, because what happens is then it gets super busy. One barber's got 20 heads, and the guy at the end, he's got one. So the owner, Guido, all right, says, hey, man, I train everybody here to cut the hair the same way I cut your hair. Rick, do you like the way I cut your hair? I go, Guido, I love the way you cut my hair. He goes, no worry, sit in any chair, no worry. Don't worry about the guy that's cutting your hair. So sure enough, I'm a Marine and an individual that if you tell me with that much leadership and authority, I'm going to believe you. You convince me, you know? So I sit in the chair just like he said. Ba, 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 ba. Everybody in the chair can cut great hair. Now, I deploy out, I come back, we do this, you get your hair cut, blah, blah, blah. 1990, my enlistment is over. In 1995, I stay another few months. I keep getting my hair cut. I leave for about 12 years. I go back to Chicago. Every time I go to a barber, I refer to how my haircut was cut at American Deluxe Barbershop for my man Guido and his family, because it's a family-run business. Mike was there. I got Rico. Nico's there. I got Wes. I got Patrick. I know all these guys that are there at the barbershop. Now, some of these kids are really young because, you know, again, I was in the military. Guido was is the dad, and the two sons are actually now starting to cut hair. So I come back, fast forward, I relocate to Encinitas, and guess what? Right in Encinitas, there's a nice haircut place, which is American Deluxe Barber. So I walk in and I go, by any chance, is this the same owners? He goes, oh, Guido. He goes, yeah. He goes, Rick Noda, right? Now, I know that you guys, I'm loud and obnoxious, and, you know, in times people this. He goes, I remember when we used to come into the Oceanside location, you know, because we would always talk, you know, barbershop talk and things like that. And he remembered me being from Chicago. And those of you guys remember it during the Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Kuwaiti Liberation, Chicago was still a violent place. Chicago just didn't overnight become violent, you guys. You know, when I was a kid, my dad would say, tick-tock, tick-tock, get to 21 years old, because that was the life expectancy of a Latino male in Chicago. So when I was like sitting there as a squinkle running around the city, I said, you know what? I'd rather go to war than get killed up on the street for my Jordans. You know, that's literally where Chicago was. I think I was a better athlete because of how fast I would run to wherever I wanted to go. That's a true life story. I can't take that away. I think I'm a great sprinter because you'll sprint real fast catching that bus if you want to avoid some gangbangers. But as I'm there, I was always comparing my haircut to American Barber. They could never just get it right. So when I came back to Encinitas, I see Rico, I see all these guys, I see Wes. Man, they dial me in every single time. Now, what's so beautiful about this haircut, you guys, is this. I love this haircut for many reasons. One, neat, easy peasy to go. If I throw a cover on or a hat on, guess what? My hair looks just the same, all right? If it's rainy, if it goes out or I work out, look, a little swoosh, a little pop, my hair is back to normal. I believe that hair is just an accessory. You've seen me, I've gone down to a zero guard. I've shaved my head for years. Confidence comes from within. This here is just a pro to what we're trying to do. And that pro gives you that confidence. That's all it does. So when I look like this, the ladies and the gentlemen today in session said, man, you took 10 years off your life when you took that beard off and when you cleaned up the sides. If you guys notice in TV land right there, in social network land, I have a little less gray hair because the way it looks, all right? And at 47, I'm going to take any advantage possible, you know? Now, We started with the 6 P's, proper plier prevents piss poor performance. So I let my beard grow up before going to camp. I know exactly the spot that I'm going to go to, which is American Deluxe Barber Shop. I go there. I'm confident any of these guys will cut my hair. As I get there, I'm often see some buddies who have been in the service. The environment is awesome. But once I'm done leaving that place, man, I feel super clean and I feel neat. That neat means I can present to everywhere. So now, haircut is done. You get a nice shave. You feel great. You smell good. Now, I know Edmondo's off camera right now. My producer's not here today because he had to go to work. All right. So I'm going to throw this out there, and it's sometimes nice when you got someone who's about 10 years or 11 years younger than you. I feel, you guys, that there's a few steps that you make in your life, all right, as you get a little bit older, okay? One step that I feel is by the time you reach 40 years old, as a man or a woman, you should have dialed in your smell, all right? Your smell, all right? Now, Mondo laughed when I said that, all right? But I use the same soaps. I use the same conditioners. I use the same, same things within that. What I mean by that is if it's like a lavender bar and it's a different maker, I don't worry so much about that, but I love the way lavender smells when I wash my body. It calms me, it relaxes me. The stuff that I use on my face is the Marine Corps nice aftershave. The hair care product I have has I got it dialed in. Also helps me with my budget, because I'm not spending $17 on hair care products. I've got it in. I've got it dialed in, locked in. I'm neat. I tighten that up. So now if I go to travel, I know exactly what I'm taking. I'll take my shirts. I'll take my hygiene gear. I know exactly my shaving kit. I know exactly the toothbrush, the toothpaste I'm using in this. So if I'm in Arizona, if I'm in California, I smell the same. I know it might sound weird, but sometimes we're using that hotel soap. It smells like dial. You're used to Ivory, and you're like, man, I'm off. Yeah, because your body is like its own aromatherapy. It's used to its own scent. Now, I have to say I got to thank my father for this, because my dad was this guy. You could smell him 5 seconds later after he left. He would put on so much cologne. You'd come back in here going, man, whoo, someone smells like eternity, Calvin Klein, or like Old English, because literally his scent would come into the room. And you know what? That to me was something that sometimes I'll be like, hey man, can you dial that down a little bit, because man, it's burning my eyes. So I try to find that even middle where I don't smell like that pungent, but I smell neat and clean. See how the theme keeps going, neat and clean. Now, if you look at your current shower materials, all right, again, there's so much stuff that we look on the internet, so much stuff that we waste our time looking at cat videos, but we don't internalize of making ourselves 1% better, getting a little bit better every time. It may be just that simple, because when I go to Arizona and I travel, it's not a huge thing, because guess what? My hygiene gear that I have has a mirror of what I have in my shower. Exactly the same. I buy one Ivory for this, one for my hygiene gear, so that when I travel, it's already set aside. Done. And when I'm in Arizona, I smell the same. I stay neat and I stay clean, because I've got my uniform. When I'm there, I don't have to think about what I'm going to wear. Boom, I put it on. So what that does, and why is that important? Because believe it or not, our bodies, and there's some science, and I'll hook it up to there, that says usually you burn off about 5 decisions to 10 decisions a day. Most people will burn up their first 3 or 4 decisions in just getting dressed. That to me that's like you handing someone $100 every day for no reason, because really those are part of our lives. It's the redundancy. It's the analogy of insanity, doing the same things over and over again, expecting change. Just lock it in, you guys. Now, does that make it unfun? Does that make it? I don't know. I accessorize. You see how that I wear my schmag. I'll wear a jacket. I'll do things like that. So even though the basics are the same, my watch may be different. My schmeg may be different. So things like that, which allow for you. Am I making a decision? At that point, yeah, but I didn't make 5 decisions. The ability for me to wear the same clothes eliminates that. Now, here's the cool part, you guys. After you've taken away the decisions of what you're gonna wear. You know how your hygiene, and where you get your hair cut. I've got a lovely lady here, Lita, also, who cuts all of my ladies' hair. I will hook that up on the thing for Salani Dare, because again, she cuts my wife's hair, she cuts all of those hairs, and she keeps everyone looking smooth. Now, do the same thing to your groceries list. Stay neat and clean on your grocery list. Do the same thing to when you're buying your cleaning supplies, things like that. Start to look and analyze. Can you consolidate that? I don't know if you're like in my house, my kids and they've taken my cleaning supplies and they've ripped them apart. They're everywhere in the house. So once every few months, what I end up doing is consolidating them, and you got like a little bit of that one and that one. You got a little bit of contents in that one. Then this one's almost full. So what you do is you kind of put them all together, and you get another inventory to keep even that neat and clean. So it's a process of eliminating clutter. I will say that if you do this with your clothes, if you do this with your paperwork, you can do this to the point where you can make money at it, because what you could do is any of the clothes that didn't fit you well, throw it on a social network that goes to sell it. There used to be Craigslist until that got all weirded out. Then there's like OfferUp, where you can offer up some things. Years ago when I was on welfare, what I did was I took all of the clothes I didn't wear anymore, and I created an eBay store. Said I found it at last. So what I did is I created, just with an old camera, I took pictures and made packages. So I had all this baby clothes, all these little napkins and these burping pads, but no one wants to just buy one of them. So I created these little packages for like $5. Guess what? They sold, and it was nice because they went to someone else who might have not could afford the pack, one pack for $5. So they bought like 60 of them for me for $5, and and that gift went forward. The nice thing about that is then I expanded that business to include people like that 1-800-JUNK stuff. I would call you up and say, hey, dude, if you don't like the actual, your garage, give me your stuff and I'll come pick it up. So what I would do is I'd pick up what I could that would sell, and then I would take the rest and then donate it to Advent or something like that, so that it was a nice way for me to gain inventory and make some money on things that people didn't even want. It was a nice way to stay neat and clean, because then I took that money and invested it on my uniform or something else. Because if you sell something, you can. I always say you can replace it. So now, you're recycling your clothes. Your clothes are doing. You can make a little money on them. You can pass it forward and donate it to a family, or maybe in your church sponsor a family that has 2 or 3 kids. Say, here's all my stuff. Go ahead and do that. Most of the time, you guys, if it makes it into a drawer, then it's a good chance you're not using it in your everyday life. We talk about everyday carry, my pen, my pencils, and all, or my whatever you carry. Let's think about our everyday, or our once a week use. If it's in a drawer and you haven't used it in a week, let's see about if it's that important. The second thing is if it's made it to your garage, all right, or worse, a public storage unit. And if it's made it to those 2 areas, unless it's a vintage something you're saving. Me and my wife have all of our wedding plates and all of that stuff that we put on our registry 25 years ago that we thought was so important for people to buy. I'll tell you, Mondo, I have never used the gold silverware and the gold place setting. But when I was at Macy's and me and my wife, she said, this is a staple. We must have one of these. Never used it. It's been in my garage. 25 years, it's been in my garage. So I'm not going to sell it, but I'm going to use it as a keepsake. Now, my point is, as you do this, you start to pay it forward. Now, what ends up happening is now you have a neat and clean wardrobe. You have a neat and clean drawers. You have neat and clean home. What does all that neat and clean do for you? To allow you to be streamlined, so that if you want to do other things, let's say you wanted to go travel, you've got your hygiene gear, you've got your stuff ready to go. You just take your clothes and whoop, you put it in a duffel bag and you go. The airport has allowed for us to take our lives from these big ass bags and boxes and says, hey, take it on your carry-on. So what I have done is, if you cannot fit your life in one of those, and when I mean life, at least 7 days, or 7 days of clothing in one of those small little bags, you don't need it, because it's not a creature habit. I had, when I went to camp, I had 5 of these shirts because they fold like this. I had 6 pairs of jeans because they fold like this. I had 3 jackets because they all fold really small. So literally I had like if doomsday in my bag. Proper plier planning prevents piss poor performance so you could stay neat and clean. And neat and clean sounds a lot better than 7 Ps, doesn't it? Takes a lot longer to say and all that stuff. So being neat and clean is a great way of just kind of adapting that lifestyle to be a little bit better. Now, does it happen overnight? Do you do it like in a greed mentality? No. Open up your daily planner and really start to pick days. I like Thursdays. Thursdays are the day that the Marine Corps said, hey, we're going to field day. The reason why you field day, because we want you to have the weekends off. We want you to go home to a clean room on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And if you sit there and you eat chips and you sit there and drink beers and you play video games or do whatever you wanted to do and you never leave because it's negative 50 below zero, all right? Shout out to Chicago, all right? Then your house isn't a pigsty. It's just dirty. And it takes you real quick and easy to make it neat and clean or tidy because you field date on Thursday. And that's a really way of being a proactive person, not a reactive person. So as always, you guys, I enjoy you guys spending time with me. Thank you for everybody that's on, that joined me here at T3 Talks. Stay tuned for this Thursday. Remember, I'm going to have Randy from Eagle One CPR joining me so that we can discuss the bedside manner of CPR and how, as medical professionals, that we can really encourage others to really remember about that bedside manner. So as always, our motivation will inspire you to be better. So since I don't have my producer, I'm going to sit here with some awkward silence here for a quick second. See you guys later. Thanks, Mondo. That was great, man.